it's important to understand the moment that you're in, and it cuts against the. It's important to understand the moment that you're in, and it's important to understand the moment that you're in, and it cuts against the very core of human nature to understand it, because I am totally convinced at my age that denial is the most powerful of all human instincts. I'm serious. I mean, honestly, I was almost 22 years ago, next month, I was in a plane that crashed, amazingly, in the Middle East, flying from Peshawar, Pakistan. The Khyber Pass was right after 9/11. I was going over to cover the Taliban, and something happened in the cargo hold, and we went down in the sand dune in Dubai. Obviously, I survived, but it was a Pakistan International Airways flight, and the thing that changed my life about that experience was something happened horrible to the plane. Like, there was an explosion in the cargo hold, some debate about what it was, but it happened, and the plane starts dropping, and the wing appears to detach, the right wing, and the plane is like struggling for altitude and going up, gunning the engines sideways. It's like 3 a.m. over the Arabian Sea. People are freaking out on the plane. Every person on that plane thought we're gonna die, very much including me. I had 3 little kids. I was half drunk, which makes it worse. And we finally come in kind of sideways into the sand, and the plane's on its side, and I'm in the first seat on the plane. It's a big double-aisle Airbus. And I just had one thought, which is I'm getting off the plane. And it's, totally dark, and you can see burning from the wing, so it's like it is time to depart the plane. So I hop up, and this male flight attendant stands right in front of me and goes, "Sit down, everything is fine, everything is fine." So it's like it is time to depart the plane. So I hop up, and this male flight attendant stands right in front of me and goes, "Sit down, everything is fine, everything is fine." And that's a verbatim quote. Everything is fine. It was so demonstrably unfine, I can't even begin to describe how unfine it was. And I think just out of pure panic, I ignored the guy, and I opened the door, and the slide went up, and I jumped into darkness with like 4 other Westerners in the front. Everyone in the back, though, they were like, "Oh, everything's fine." And I thought, I've brooded on that for over 20 years. Like, why did he claim everything was fine? The pilots, by the way, went right out the front windows. Well, they did. Oh, absolutely. Like, whatever. Good luck, guys. And I think he just couldn't metabolize the change. It was so awful, he just could not admit what was happening right there in front of everybody. And I think he just couldn't metabolize the change. It was so awful, he just could not admit what was happening right there in front of everybody. This really bothered me all these years, despite the fact it wound up fine for me. By the way, the plane is now a dive site off the Burj Hotel in Dubai. You can swim through it. Someday I will. But then last year I read the biography, which I would recommend to everyone in this room, of Peter Wrangel, who was the leader of the revolutionary white forces during the Russian Revolution, the Civil War, rather, that came after the revolution. He was a Baltic German living in Russia, and a general worked for the Tsar. The war ends, or Russia ceases its hostilities with Germany. He comes back to...
Sentry Mode is a security system that uses 360-degree cameras to monitor your Tesla's surroundings and alert you to potential threats. If someone...
The Tsar, the war ends, or Russia ceases its hostilities with Germany. He comes back to St. Petersburg, and the country's in complete chaos. And the Bolsheviks have decided that, it's discontent within the army that we need to inflame, and we need to get the army. I don't know if this sounds familiar to anyone here, but get the guns and the people who wield the guns. We need them. So the first thing they do is destroy all discipline in the Tsar's army, complete. So Peter Wrangel's just been on the front for 4 years. He comes back into St. Petersburg, totally civilized city, 2-hour drive from Helsinki. I mean, it is Europe, okay? Whatever anyone tells you. And he's wandering through, and soldiers are going crazy in the streets. And they're raping women. They're stealing at gunpoint. Soldiers in uniform. Whatever anyone tells you. And he's wandering through, and soldiers are going crazy in the streets. And they're raping women. They're stealing at gunpoint. Soldiers in uniform. In a monarchy which had not had any behavior like this at all. And Peter Wrangel just can't even believe it. These are his soldiers. He's a general. And so he's completely freaked out, and he goes into a movie theater, and everyone in the movie theater is completely absorbed in the movie. Like there's no revolution. Women, they're stealing at gunpoint. I mean, it is Europe, okay? Whatever anyone tells you. And he's wandering through, and soldiers are going crazy in the streets. And they're raping women. They're stealing at gunpoint. Soldiers in uniform. In a monarchy which had not had any behavior like this at all. And Peter Engel just can't even believe it. These are his soldiers. He's a general. And so he's completely freaked out, and he goes into a movie theater, and everyone in the movie theater is completely absorbed in the movie. Like there's no revolution happening outside. And Peter Engel thinks these people are insane. So he goes back, he's like, I gotta get to Moscow. So he takes the train to Moscow. I have to tell the Tsar this country's like there's no revolution happening outside. And Peter Engel thinks these people are insane. So he goes back, he's like, I gotta get to Moscow. So he takes the movie theater is completely absorbed in the movie. Like there's no revolution happening outside. And Peter Engel thinks these people are insane. So he goes back, he's like, I gotta get to Moscow. So he takes the train to Moscow. I have to tell the Tsar this country's falling apart. He's very close to the Romanovs, the family. You should read this. It's just out in English translation in the last 3 years. It's an unbelievable book, lost to history until recently to English speakers. So he goes back to Moscow, and he's close to the Romanovs. And so he goes into the imperial court, and he knows all the relatives, and there are millions of them, hangers-on. And he notices about 80% of the women in the Romanov family are wearing red ribbons in solidarity with the Bolsheviks, who wound up, of course we know how it ends, murdering them. Romanov family are wearing red ribbons in solidarity with the Bolsheviks, who wound up, of course we know how it ends, murdering them in the basement at dawn. So, wait, what? Peter Engel says, how is it that this country is being devoured by a violent revolution, and the people who can afford movie tickets, that is kind of our middle class, are refusing even to acknowledge that it's happening, and the ruling class against whom it is aimed are sympathizing with it. And if this doesn't remind you of BLM, I don't know what does. I'm reading this in my porch, like midnight, I couldn't go to sleep. I was like, wait, I live in that country. That's happening now. People who can afford movie tickets, that is kind of our middle class, are refusing even to acknowledge that it's happening, and the ruling class against whom it is aimed are sympathizing with it. And if this doesn't remind you of BLM, I don't know what does. I'm reading this in my porch, like midnight, I couldn't go to sleep. I was like, wait, I live in that country. That's...
Shalom, shalom, Yasharala, all praises and glory goes to Yahweh Hashem, Yahushai Hashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and salutations to the legmen feeding the sheep of Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushai, in sincerity and truth. With this great gospel strictly coming out of our Bible, man. Coming out of our Bible. And yeah, these people, they really don't, they don't know what's going on, man. They stuck in entertainment. Yeah, that bread and circus got them stuck on stupid, man. They're more focused on old wrestler in a dress and naked on TV than they are focused on what's happening around the world, man. Because the world is turning on America. The world is turning on Esau Edom, the so-called white man. He's about to be judged. And that boy Carlson Tucker, he can see it. He can see it. A lot of other Edomites, they can see it too. They know this is not the same world that their grandparents grew up in when they used to bully other nations. Now they're being bullied. Now they're being persecuted. Now they're being oppressed. Now they're being cut the fuck off, right? The other nations ain't dealing with Esau Edom no more, right? Even Russia said this time, man, hey, we're ready to smoke America. The spirit of Russia, the Lord put in the spirit in Russia to hate America. They're going to burn the whore with fire. China, Russia, and Persians, and other nations, right? Everything is headed towards what? Nuclear destruction. Nuclear destruction. I'm going to read the book of Daniel 4, verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. The basis of men, and that's what you got. The Lord had said the basis of men. This is the Edomites' time to rule. And John Cena, he might be a Jake. He might be a bugged out ass Jake in a pale body. Right? He got a spirit. But hey, right now he's looked at as the damn devil. Right? He got the spirit of Satan. Right? The Lord's going to have to purge a lot of you so-called speckled birds. Right? A lot of you Israelites who look like these other nations, because you got the spirit of the other nations, man. This is the spirit of America. Men in dresses. Men desperately looking for attention. Women desperately looking for attention. Right? A bitch, you don't even know what a bitch face look like. All you see is her ass. Right? Go on her page. She changing her diaper. She shaking her ass. She cooking in the kitchen. She's shaking her ass. Yeah, she's selling you a car. She's shaking her ass. She a teacher in school, shaking her ass, right? These people are desperately looking for attention. They about to get the attention of who? The Heavenly Father. They about to know who's in charge. I'm reading again, Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the holy word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know. Because right now the living don't know. The living think they can do whatever the fuck they want to do and not be, how can we say, not have to pay for their sins, right? It's a lot of sinful men walking around, unholy, ungodly men walking around, and they have not been punished for their filthiness. So they feel like, hey, shit, we could continue doing it, right? We could continue doing it. Ecclesiastes 8 verse 11, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil, right? These Illuminati motherfuckers. Right, the wicked. Esau Edom been robbing and stealing for a long time, and all he has been doing is prospering off of it. So his mind is to continue to do it. And now Jake's is trying to be like Edom. They see, hey, the devil got rich doing this shit. The devil got rich wearing a dress. The devil got rich being a punk. And you niggas doing the same thing. You following after you got these gatekeepers turning to gatekeepers, right? Like them Tate brothers, right? They were talking about, next thing you know, they got arrested. They were talking about how, and hey man, if you don't bow down to these homosexual leaders, you won't be able to make it in this society. If you want to be famous, fuck fame, yeah, fuck notoriety, fuck being known by all men. We want to be known by the Lord, right? This is the book of Luke 6:26. It reads, "Woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you." Read that again. Woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you, man. If you're a real man of the Lord, you're going to be hated. You're going to be despised for your Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You ain't going to be loved. Right? It says, woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers to who? To the false prophets, man. They loved the false prophets because the false prophets was giving them a vision of comfort, speaking smooth things, happy things. We're speaking things of terror, things of destruction. Yeah, the Lord's coming back with anger, all right, with a righteous anger to judge wicked motherfuckers.